let's pray that I have a little bit more success today with my farm updates than I had yesterday. So first of all, the sheep are currently out on our wetland easement, which was an easement that we had inherited when we bought the property, but it's about the time where the pastures need a little rest period. We have not solidified a solar contract yet, unfortunately, but if anybody's located in New York and knows of a solar farm that needs a grazer, hit me up because my sheep are very well trained to electronet and I would be willing to entertain that idea. This is an easement that we inherited, and that means that somebody else got paid for it and we now have to follow the regulations with it. And if you're not familiar with what a wetland easement is, I went over this last year, but basically this is now a preserved wetland and we are very restricted on uses of what we can and cannot do with it. So we're managing it this way instead of mowing it. And I'll show you why in a second, why solar companies would prefer to have sheep graze instead of using mowing machines or contracting a landscaper to maintain it. Up until last year, we had actually mowed the easement with our ancient farm awl. It's actually my husband's tractor, and it was just a pain in the butt. Of course, there are restrictions on what time of year and seasons you can mow in. I'm going to show you the area that we just moved the sheep from and where they are today. This is where they just came from. This is where they are now. You can see that they did trample this down quite a bit. We leave them on here for about 2 days normally, depending on the size that we make of this pasture. But you can see that there's a lot of trample down. By leaving them on here for 2 days, it does force them to graze it further. So yesterday when we came out, most of this area was trampled down like this, the entirety of it. But they went through today and picked it pretty clean. You can see there's some stubble there, but there's not a whole lot of leafy vegetation left. In our instance, this is more advantageous to us, and it didn't occur to us until last year that we should try doing this. I had an internship on a sheep dairy in Vermont, and this is what they did. This was how they grazed their sheep, was using the electronet, and every day you're moving, or every milking, I think, because it was a sheep dairy. So I think we were moving them every time we milked them. But this is a much more environmentally friendly way of managing this area than using a tractor, because more often than not, when my husband came out here with the tractor, I was always worried he was going to get stuck because there are like hills and ruts and all sorts of things because the wetland is right over there. This property borders the wetland that is on our property. So although this isn't wetland specifically, they do have this falling under the easement that the previous owner got paid for in preserving that wetland. This also is nostalgic to me because I did a summer internship in Vermont where we had sheep. Obviously, they were not Katahdin sheep. We have Katahdin hair sheep. At that dairy farm, we had Lacoon and East Frisian, but it brings it back. My lambs are doing very well.